It seems like every second car that is being launched today is either a crossover or an SUV. And that's with good reason, because consumers today want either a car that is raised in ride height or resembles an SUV. But that does create a bit of a problem for other segments such as hatchbacks and sedans. So what if you're looking for a small hatchback that resembles a crossover? Well, I've got the new Kia Picanto X-Line, and this may just be your answer. Up front, I have got a 1.2-litre normally aspirated engine that produces 61 kilowatts and 122 Newton meters. And in a small car like this, it actually works quite well. One thing we always need to remember is that power to weight is a very important thing, especially when it comes to smaller cars. So the engine in this car is not sluggish whatsoever. We can definitely tick the box when it comes to the engine being desirable for a car such as this. So, next up on the list is comfort. If we look at the application of this car, this is a vehicle that is meant to drive around the city. It's a vehicle that you want to take maybe on a weekend away. It's for those who are young, going out, having fun with their friends. And for that application, it makes the world of sense. One great thing about this car is the fact that Kia hasn't only done aesthetic changes to this vehicle, they've also increased the ride height by 5 millimeters. And I don't know if that translates to a better ride quality, but I can definitely feel that this car feels just that much more supple on the road. So we've established that A, this car has got a very good engine, and B, it also rides very nicely. Now next up on the list is of course fit and finish. Now, when it comes to fit and finish in this car, that is one thing I simply cannot fault in this vehicle. Of course, this is a budget car, we need to remember that, so you can't expect a soft touch dashboard or anything of that sort. But even though Kia has used plastics in this dash, they have put it together in a way that you can see it's meant to last. The way everything feels to touch and how everything is laid out and put together, you can see that a lot of thought went into this. And at the end of the day, when you drive this car, you don't feel like you're in a cheap vehicle. In fact, with the addition of these lovely leather seats, well, leatherette seats, it makes for a nice premium look and feel in the inside of this car. And even driving this vehicle, the MVH levels in this car are nice and low. You don't hear a lot of the road noise on the outside. And at the same time, it doesn't feel like you're in a cheap car. It actually feels like you're in quite a premium car for this nature. So we need to ask ourselves, is this X-Line worth the extra 17,000 Rand if you compare it to the lower derivative Kia Picanto? And personally, I think it is, because you do get completely new styling, front and rear in this vehicle. You also get the nice cladding on the side of the car, which does make the vehicle look that much more sportier. You also get a different wheel, which is slightly bigger. It's 15 inches as opposed to 14 inches. And you also get the raised ride height in the car. So looking at all the packages that you get together, this X-Line package does really give you bang for your buck. I think this car looks both charming on the outside and on the inside. But one thing that I also do like is the fact that you've got all the technology that you would need as a young person. Namely, you've got Bluetooth, you've got a touchscreen infotainment system, and you've got Android Auto and CarPlay, which is always welcome in my world. So when it comes to safety, the Kia Picanto X-Line does come with 2 airbags, ABS and EBD. And that's obviously a good thing, because if you're in an emergency and you need to brake quite hard, you know that you are sorted. And of course, airbags, that goes without saying. When it comes to fuel economy, this car has a claimed urban cycle of 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers. And I'm currently sitting on 7.2 liters per 100 kilometers, which isn't bad at all, because we all know to get those kind of figures that they state, the car needs to be in a near perfect situation. The only criticism I have for this vehicle is that the boot is just too small. Now, I've recently become a married man and a dog owner, so I've learned to appreciate the power of a big boot. And for me, I would need a little bit more space. But if that's not the circumstance of your life, especially if you're a young person that is living alone and you want to maybe just put some groceries in the car, or you're going to go for a small weekend away, it can work. It's not an impossible boot to work with, but it could be a little bit bigger. Now, at just under 240,000 Rand, the Kia Picanto X-Line is actually a good bargain buy, because if you look at what cars cost today, they cost close to 300,000-400,000 Rand, especially in the small hatchback segment. Now, of course, this is not a premium hatchback, so we can't expect it to cost a lot of money. But at 250,000 Rand, it's a fair price, it's competitive to what's out there, and I think it's not going to hurt a lot of young people's pockets when it comes to monthly repayments. So the Kia Picanto X-Line is definitely a car that is best suited for the funky consumer, those who are young, wild and free. There's very little to fault with this vehicle, except for the fact that it's got a slightly smaller boot. But for most young people, they don't care too much about those kind of things. And if you're in that position, we definitely recommend this car.